Welcome to Liquid Alchemy, a podcast dedicated to giving you spiritual tools to amplify your cosmic energy so that your highest self can weave into your life with ease, like liquid alchemy. Hello, and welcome back to Liquid Alchemy Podcast. This is Diya SenGupta, your host and founder of LoveTheAlchemist.com, where you can find over 6 years of recipes, yoga articles, wellness articles, and travel guides for how to live an upbeat life while being mindful and still having fun. And that is the whole point of being alive. It's to have fun and to enjoy what you're doing. And this is not a place of extremism. This is a place of learning and education and self-improvement and having fun while doing it, because life is all about the journey. And when we forget that we are on a longer journey of life and there's nothing except the journey of life, then we oftentimes feel like life is just too heavy. And that is not something that I want. And if you're listening, I'm sure it's not something you want either. So today's episode is all about taking responsibility for your life and really claiming it and having fun with it. The whole reason why this episode came about is because I was watching Lady Gaga's documentary on Netflix called 5'2". And in that documentary, she talks about how she feels like a lot of people in the music industry kind of look at women or looked at her in a way where they just wanted to use her as a place to shove all of their pain. And I find that this happens all the time in my own life, and it's everywhere. It's not just isolated to one person or one circumstance. People do this all the time where they feel like, oh, you'll listen to me, so let me dump all my life problems onto you. Or you have it semi-figured out. Why don't I just tell you everything about my life unsolicited and ask for unsolicited advice that you're not necessarily in a place to give or you're not willing to give. And that can feel really icky, but what it stems from is you not taking responsibility for yourself. And so essentially, when people are behaving a certain way towards you, the world acts as if all of your encounters are a mirror. And so if you are having people coming to you with their problems or they're just being generally daunting, it's because you yourself have not taken responsibility. And these people who have not taken responsibility for themselves and will not are coming to you, and it's an invitation for you to break the cycle and to break the pattern and to just not even go and play with that type of energy anymore, because it doesn't help you, it doesn't help them. When you are engaging in behaviors or helping people who won't help themselves without having an educational or breakthrough aha moment with them, where they're changing their patterns and they're changing the way they show up, then you are just enabling them. And it's a really fine line, but it's really not, because it feels so different. And at first, when you start to do it, it can feel really difficult and it can feel challenging, but it's part of the process and there's no perfect way to do it. You just have to try and try again and try again. And that's not to say that trying and the process of putting things together is not going to be daunting all the time, but it's just to say that it's okay to not get it right and to not be held back by perfectionism in relationships, in work settings, in your love life, or whatever it may be, because the more focused you are on perfectionism, the more you get trapped into your current setting. And you have to just break your own boundaries, put yourself out there, and keep growing and keep evolving in any micro way that you can, because if you're not growing, you become stagnant. And that's when we stop taking responsibility for ourselves. When we're stagnant, we're not in flow. It means we're not having a balance of masculine and feminine energy. And feminine energy is all about flow. It's all about being in tune with what's going on and kind of moving with the elements the way water would move down a hill or a stream. It just goes where it's guided by the natural forces of life, which are gravity in this case. And it's really important for us to just feel where life is trying to take us, or what we're trying to learn as a soul in a body, and not to take things so seriously. So that's what we're talking about today in today's podcast episode. I'm doing things a little bit differently. I lost my little plug-in for my computer where I can put in my microphone, and so I'm recording this on a video, and I'm also doing it just on my computer, so the audio might sound a little bit different, and it's going to be back to normal next week, but I'd rather make something for you than not make something for you. But excuse me. But the point is that when you're in flow, you are not working against yourself, and not taking responsibility for yourself is working against yourself, because we all have this autonomous element where we are saying, this is my life, I'm here to experience XYZ, and when we start saying, oh, I'm just a product of my environment, I can't overcome certain patternings, or I'm always going to be held back by certain people in my life, or I can't do what I want to do because of, XYZ. We just throw in all of these excuses, and the more excuses we make as to why we're not living a life of our dreams, as cheesy as that may sound, it's all because of us and our willingness or unwillingness to take responsibility for who and what we are. So when I was watching this documentary that Lady Gaga made, I honestly, every time I watch it, I cry, because it's just so powerful, and it's like the whole artist mentality. I believe that we are all artists in our own way, whether we're open about it or we hide it. And our art is essentially what is in our homes. It's how we use our voice. It's how we create or show up as love in this world. And the culmination of our art is our life as a whole. And when you look at life in that way and you decide to just go for it, then everything changes. The more you allow yourself to see stories and patterns, it just becomes this beautiful world of possibility. And what I love most about Lady Gaga is that she ties in different stories from different pieces of her life or from culture, and she uses them as like grounding keynotes that help structure where her creativity will flow. So she talks a lot about being inspired by people like Madonna, but in her mind, she is not copying Madonna. She is paying homage to the amazing things that she's created. And this could be its own video. It could be its own podcast about like the fine line between being original and also pulling different pieces of inspiration. But the main point is that we are all operating in a collective, and the way that we show up, or our emotional bandwidth or our physical bandwidth, of what our bodies are trying to tell us, it all plays into everything. And in the documentary, Lady Gaga is overextending her energy through all of her performances, and it basically resulted in her having a broken hip that happened, I think, on tour, and a bunch of muscle injuries that come from dancing too hard or performing too hard and not allowing yourself to rest. And it basically threw her so out of whack that she kind of lost touch with her body. And it's a metaphor for our physical reality. Your body is what creates your physical reality. If you had no body, you wouldn't be here looking at what you're looking at or seeing what you're seeing. And it's really interesting because she talks about having this experience right at the height of her fame and how traumatizing. She alludes to it, she doesn't say it outright, but she basically says that fame has been really traumatizing for her. And that's when she kind of loses touch with things that are in her physical reality and goes into deep, dark places. And this is my interpretation of it. I'm not her, I'm not living it, but this is just like what I'm seeing in the documentary. And it was really interesting to see her take responsibility for the pain that she feels in her body and in her mind, and to build herself back up from ground zero, and to have had a lot of success, and to not throw away that success, but to say, I am me, and whatever shape or form I choose to show up in, that will be enough. And that's why in this docuseries or documentary, she is releasing her album Joanne, which is a huge departure from everything that she's done up until that point, where she was always so glammed out and wearing crazy costumes and being walking art. And then she turns into someone who is just totally stripped down to the basics and wearing casual clothes and just being present and in the moment with a hat on, just like blending in with the crowd. And you see her get the news that this stripped down album and this stripped down presentation of herself is still making #1 groundbreaking records. And it's also a wake-up call for anyone viewing it, that even if you are just doing the best you can and putting out something that's so genuine, people will be connected to that, because that's really what everyone wants. Everyone wants to be comfortable. Everyone wants to feel good. They want to feel loved. They want to feel accepted. And a lot of this has to do with how we are hardwired, where we are animals and we need to survive in a community because that's how our ancestors lived, and that's just in our DNA of who and what we are. And that's why it's really important for us to take responsibility for how we're showing up in our own lives, because when we show up for ourselves, we can show up for others in a much, much more meaningful way that doesn't require us to bend over backwards and twist ourselves into uncomfortable positions, and it just flows. We're able to flow because we're grounded in our own center of gravity, and we can be present and we can live out from a place where we are able to be in flow. And ways that you can get into flow are through exercise, by saging your home, by cleaning your home, and just engaging in breath work. So deep breathing, or I've talked about a lot recently, breath of fire is really good. And so we actually are going to take a look at 3 different tarot cards on how to take responsibility and be in flow and center down into our own gravitational pulls, whatever it might be for you. So essentially, I'm using cards from the Kuan Yin Oracle deck, and I put it behind me here if you're watching the video. It's a deck by Alana Fairchild, and I just really love these cards. They're really soft, they're really gentle, but they are also very powerful. So it really helps when you're engaging in any sort of healing. It just like puts you in the flow, which is really nice. So, number one of what you can do to get grounded is to connect with like-minded people. So I always recommend doing it with actual people, but when you are really growing and you're expanding and you're figuring out who you are, sometimes it really does help to do things like watch a documentary or to listen to music or to connect with a piece of inspiration that awakens a different part of you. So documentaries that I've really enjoyed are the Jeremy Scott documentary on Netflix. I really love the Lady Gaga 5'2". One docu-series that I can never get enough of is the Alexa Chung docu-series with British Vogue, where they go into different pieces of the fashion industry and they like see what it's all about and what it takes to really make it in the fashion industry. And I don't know why, but every time I watch that docu-series, I'm like, oh my God, my life has purpose. I have things to do and I've got to go. So I would say that finding some sort of like content that inspires you is really good. Vice has a lot of great things as well if the other things are not quite your taste. And so connect with something that activates your untapped creativity and then go out in the physical world and do something with it. So a great example of this is maybe if you were watching the Lady Gaga 5'2" documentary and you really loved it, then go to a concert that like plays up on some of the elements that are in there and go with a friend. And you can also, you don't have to go with someone you know. I think part of the big thing about personal growth, the times when I've had amazing personal growth are when I moved cities and I'm meeting new people, or times when I'm just kind of open and free. So if you do bring a friend who is like a no judge kind of friend, where you can just be open and honest. And now I have tons of these friends, but I would say maybe even like 6 years ago, I really didn't. And that can be hard when you're wanting to grow. So maybe find those friends who you feel like you could tell them anything and they wouldn't judge you. And that will be really, really, really good for you, and it will help you kind of feel okay being who you are. And I know that sounds a little silly to some, but a lot of us are not okay with who we are, myself included. I go through waves where sometimes I'm like, I really love myself, I really love what's going on, but everyone has a bad day, and the only way out through those bad days are to really just sit in that pain and not use others as a trash bin for our pain, but to just say, this is mine and I'm gonna break this cycle. So a second way that you can take responsibility for yourself and really ground down in your power is to acknowledge that there are so many different ways to live, and there are so many different facets of your life. And if you want to change the way you're feeling, you need to change your focus and shift from one mindset to another. So a way to explain this is to say, maybe you have been focused on limitation and it's time to focus on opportunity. And so before you go to bed at night, maybe you can write down 3 things that came to you that were opportunities, that were really amazing. Or you can say, instead of asking how other people are going to help me, what are ways that I can help people today? I've been doing this for the last week and a half. I've mentioned that I'm doing coaching right now, as like I'm being coached by the Tony Robbins team, and that was something that came up in my first coaching call, just asking, how can I be of service to whoever I'm interacting with? And I make myself answer this every morning before I really get out and take on the day. And the days that I do this are so much better than the days where I'm just like rushing and I get out the door and I skip it. So how can you be of service? It doesn't have to be big. Even just, I don't know, holding a door for someone sometimes can totally change their day. Like, you don't even know. So when I have my puppy and I'm like carrying a million things, if someone opens the door for me, it really does change my day, because it's like one less heavy thing I have to do. So little things can mean a lot to people, and it's something for you to just embrace and lean into. So change the way you are thinking, change what you are focusing on, and you'll see things open up in a different light. And then number 3 of how you can take responsibility for your life is to make it a daily practice to engage with your shadows. So I first came into contact with this practice when I was reading Shaman Durek's book, Spirit Hacking. And he says in the book that it's a good practice to engage with your shadow and say, shadow, what do you need from me today? How could I make this the best day ever? And our shadow selves often get a bad rap, but they're actually just showing us places where we would benefit from growing. And the more you lean into your shadow, the less afraid you will be when you are in uncomfortable situations, and there will be fewer uncomfortable situations. And it's just like a muscle. The more that you engage with the unknown, the more confident and certain you will be with who you are, what you are, and what it is that you want to do with your energy and your time. And you can do this by journaling. I really like to do it through journaling, and some people do it just audibly, just talking out loud to yourself. But I think that as long as you find a way to engage with your shadow self, some people do it through drawing. Just doing something is better than doing nothing. So if you make it a point to do 3 things every day, if you're in a rut, or if you're not, whatever you want to do, if you just make it a point to engage with your shadow, identify how you can look at the world in a different way that would positively benefit you and everything that's happening in your life, and then also by connecting with things that give you inspiration and spark your creativity, then you will find that you feel more responsible for how you feel and the way that you interact with the world at large. If you're going into interactions with positive intentions, or if you're going into interactions being needy or just overly like trying to throw your energy on someone else. And no one likes having someone else's energy thrown on them. No one does. It's like off-putting. It's like when someone calls you and it's almost like you can feel their hyper energy in the call, and you're like, no, not today. We're not doing that today. No one likes that. So the more you take responsibility for yourself, the less that will be you, and the more in flow you'll be. And also just like take action on your ideas, even if it's a small action, because little small actions over time lead up to become something that is so much bigger and so much more powerful. So that is all for the Tarotscope today on how to take back your power. And we're going to talk about today's elixir. So today's elixir is a matcha latte, and it's made with matcha powder, it's made with lavender powder, and it's made with damiana powder. Damiana is an herb. I put hazelnut milk into my matcha latte. You can have it whatever way you want, with honey, without honey, but essentially matcha is very energizing. It is packed with antioxidants. It is just overall great for your metabolism, great for your health, and it contains a lot of, I believe, flavonoids. I could be wrong. Honestly, I'm not looking at anything for reference points, but when people have a lot of matcha in their diet, they essentially are more energized, they're more fit, they're less stressed. Those are all facts. It helps keep you in a state of balance and flow. And Damiana is an herb that essentially awakens your feminine energy. So being in flow, taking responsibility for your grounded energy is a very feminine concept. And we need to tap more into the feminine because we live in a masculine society. So when we are living in a masculine society, sometimes it can make it hard for us to just drop everything and laugh for 10 minutes with our friends, or it can make it hard for us to just feel like life is easy. Sometimes we feel burdened by structure. I know that I definitely do, and Damiana will help break you out of that. And it's a heart opener. So when you drink Damiana, you will feel more lovey, just naturally. And it's a great way to connect. So you have to connect with yourself to connect with others. And that's what today's meditation will do. And then lavender, I love lavender powder because it's deeply, deeply relaxing. It is calming. And when you pair it with the matcha, it has a way of just giving you amazing energy, but it's rounded out with mellow hues where you're just feeling good, but you're not feeling overwhelmed by all your energy. You're calm, you're present, you're focused. So this to me is an amazing elixir for the morning. Yes, even though it has lavender. For the morning, for the afternoon, really anytime, but probably not right before bed because matcha has a lot of caffeine. So make your elixir and then come back and we are going to do an easy, fun, lighthearted meditation to help us recenter and ground. Okay, so now that you have made your elixir, I want you to drink half of it or as much of it as you can. And as you drink it, I just want you to envision gorgeous purple neon light moving into your body, going down your throat and into your stomach and just moving through you. And begin to reconnect with your breath. So we are actually going to do 1 minute of breath of fire. If you cannot see me in a video, what you do is you exhale sharply out of your nose and you continuously do that for 1 minute, and it helps restore oxygen and will get you into a state of flow. Okay, so we're gonna start now. Halfway there. Ten more seconds. Good, and now one big inhale, holding, let your shoulders drop and exhale, inhaling, holding, exhaling, and envision your body grounding down into the earth's core like a tree trunk, going down into the earth with roots, rooting down into the soil, flowing down and getting connected in with the earth's core, the hot lava center, and envision a neon blue light sparking at the bottom of this grounding cord. And invite this neon blue light to form 4 circles at the base of your body, stacking on top of each other, going around you, so that you're in the middle of a glowing neon blue circle of light. We are going to activate these circles and create a grounding cord through a technique that I learned in Shaman Durek's book, Spirit Hacking. So stay in the center of these circles, breathing, and repeat after me. I activate circle 1. Circle 1, ground me to the earth. I activate circle 2. Circle 2, ground me to the earth. I activate circle 3. Circle 3, ground me to the earth. I activate circle 4. Circle 4, ground me to the earth. And now envision 4 of these circles stacking above your head. So lifting from your lower body up above your head. And we're going to activate them again. I activate circle 1. Circle 1, lift me out of the Maya. I activate circle 2. Circle 2, lift me out of the Maya. I activate circle 3. Circle 3, lift me out of the Maya. I activate circle 4. Circle 4, lift me out of the Maya. And now say out loud, create an energy surge connecting me from heaven to earth so that I can feel it in my body. And inhale and exhale and envision that blue light beginning to sparkle at the base of your spine, allowing it to move into your stomach, into your heart center, and flutter out through the sides of your body, filling the sides of your body with a gorgeous neon blue light that sparkles and shimmers. Allow the sparkle and the shimmer to grow within your body until it is just one vibrant light. And allow that sparkle and that shimmer to move out into your legs and your arms, into your neck, and out through the top of your head, shimmering so much and growing and growing and growing in light until you are beaming with light. Inhaling, exhaling. And I want you to invite neon violet flecks of energy to enter into your body, wherever it needs to go. Invite this energy into the soles of your feet, into the base of your spine, and allow it to move upwards and outwards into the edges of your energy, clearing up any energy that you've accumulated that's not yours, and gently release it, sending it back to the earth's core to be released and recycled. and invite in a beautiful droplet of lotus nectar from a lotus hovering above your head. The droplet is so strong that it floods your body, igniting the most vibrant colors. Through every facet of your energetic, physical, mental, and emotional bodies, and allow this nectar of the lotus to allow your body to synthesize, to connect, and to work in harmony. Inhaling and releasing anything that feels difficult. Stretching. Inhaling again and exhaling, shaking out your shoulders. And inviting in the energy of 1,000 golden suns to rise within your energy field, creating a gorgeous force field of light. That invites in creativity, inspiration, beautiful relationships, laughter, healing, and harmony. And allowing that neon blue violet light and violet light to bring in ease and harmony. And invite in the radiant glow of the moon in all its phases, allowing the moon to grow in your mind's eye, waxing to a full moon, creating boundaries that work with you as you flow in your life. And as you exhale, envision the moon waning, going down into a new moon, a dark moon, where you can release all of your burdens and they leave with ease. And I want you to ask yourself what it is you can do today to enhance your own life or that of another. You can offer this intention to the energy of the moon and envision your intention sitting within your body as the moon waxes and grows to a full moon. Sparking creativity and the essence of creation within your own body, within your own mind, and within your own energy field. Allow yourself to rest for the next minute. reconnecting with your natural breath. And allowing your energy to harmonize with your daily existence. May this week be powerful, energetic, grounded, and filled with heart-opening activities that connect you with other cosmic creators so that you can collectively bring joy and harmony into your own lives and the lives of others. Boundaries are easy for you. You enforce them joyfully and naturally. And that allows you to say yes to the best of what the world has to offer. May you feel completely free this week, alive and grounded. Thank you for joining me this week. And stay tuned for the next episode.